My name is Brooke Elaine Westfield. I'm 15 years old, and on the afternoon of April 17th, I died on a hiking trail. I never thought much about death before. I was just a normal high school sophomore from Colorado who loved volleyball and spent too much time on my phone. My parents divorced when I was 9, but we all still got along okay. Mom worked as a nurse, and I lived with her and my little brother Ethan during the week. Dad had us on weekends. I worried about normal stuff, finals coming up, if Jake from biology liked me back, and whether I'd make varsity next year. I was hiking with my best friend Maddie that Saturday. The weather forecast said clear skies, but in the mountains, things changed fast. We were about 2 miles up Eagle Ridge Trail when my chest started feeling tight. I have mild asthma, but I used my inhaler before we started. It felt different, like someone sitting on my chest. I told Maddie I needed to rest for a minute. Then everything just went dark. I remember a weird floating feeling, like being in a swimming pool but without the water. The pain was completely gone. I looked down and saw Maddie kneeling beside my back, choking me and screaming into her face. I tried to tell her I was okay, but she couldn't hear me. It was the strangest thing, watching myself from above like that. My body was just lying there on the dirt path, but somehow I was also floating in the air. I felt this gentle pull upward, like when you're swimming and something grabs your hand to help you out of the pool. Everything around me started to glow, not bright like the sun, more like when light comes through stained glass windows, but it was all around me. Then I was moving through what felt like a trance. I wasn't scared. For the first time in my life, I felt completely safe, like I was finally going where I wanted. The tunnel opened up into the most beautiful light I've ever seen. Imagine the warmest, most loving light possible. That's what surrounded me. And there he was, Jesus. I know how that sounds. Before this happened, I only went to church on Christmas and Easter with my grandma, but the moment I saw him, I just knew. Not because he looked exactly like the pictures in Sunday school books. He didn't. He was tall and radiant, with eyes that somehow held all the love in the universe. His face was kind, but also powerful. That's not the right word. It was like looking at someone who knew absolutely everything about you, every stupid mistake, every mean thought, but loved you completely anyway. When he spoke, his voice wasn't booming like in movies. It was gentle but clear, like it was speaking directly into my heart rather than my ears. "Brooke," he said, and just hearing him say my name made me cry. Not sad tears, they were tears of relief, like I'd been carrying something heavy my whole life without realizing it. And suddenly, it was gone. "Am I dead?" I asked. He smiled. "Your body is between worlds right now, but I wanted to speak with you." He reached out his hand, and when I took it, something like a wave of pure love washed over me. I saw my whole life in an instant. Not just the big moments, but little things I'd forgotten. Helping an old woman pick up groceries she'd dropped when I was 8. Sitting with a girl who was crying in the school bathroom after being bullied. Leaving my lunch with a homeless man on the way to school. But I also saw when I'd been cruel to my brother, when I'd gossiped about friends, when I'd lied to my mom about where I was going. The amazing thing was, he loved me through all of it, every mistake, every good choice. I could feel his love for me wasn't based on what I'd done right or wrong, it just was. "There's something I need you to see, Brooke," he said. "Something important for you to understand and share." The scene around us changed. We were suddenly standing on what looked like clouds, but solid enough to walk on. Jesus gestured with his hand, and below us appeared what looked like a living map of Earth. "I'm showing you 3 events that will come before 2030, he said. Not to cause fear, but to prepare hearts. The first vision appeared before us like we were watching through a window. I saw oceans rising, storms bigger than anything I'd seen on the news. Cities I recognized, Miami, New York, Tokyo, with water flowing through streets. But more than seeing it, I could feel the fear of the people experiencing it. "The earth groans as creation strains," Jesus said softly. "What you're seeing is the acceleration of climate patterns. The waters will rise faster than expected. Island nations will cry out first, but many shores will follow." I felt tears running down my face. All those people, I whispered. Watch closely, he said. As the waters rose in the vision, I also saw something beautiful happening. People helping each other, strangers opening homes, nations that had been enemies working together, churches becoming shelters. It wasn't just disaster, it was also humanity at its best. In great trial comes unity that couldn't be found in comfort, Jesus explained. Hearts will turn toward one another, and in that turning, many will also find me. The scene shifted to a second vision. This time I saw what looked like massive blackouts, cities going dark, one after another, people unable to use phones, computers, anything electronic. The systems man has built have become both tower and crutch, Jesus said. A time is coming when they will falter for a season. What was built on pride will be humbled. In the vision, I saw panic at first. But then something changed. People came out of their homes. They talked to neighbors they'd never met before. They shared food, played music, told stories. Kids played outside instead of on screens. In the dark, people found each other. When the lights of man go out, my light shines brighter, Jesus said. Many souls who couldn't hear me through the noise will find me in the silence. The third vision was the hardest to watch. I saw sickness spreading, not like COVID that we'd all lived through, something different. In the vision, people were afraid to be near each other again. But this time, I saw something darker underneath it all, like the fear was being fed somehow, used. A new illness will emerge, Jesus said, but the greater sickness will be fear itself and how it divides hearts from one another. Some will use this fear to control and separate my children, but even in this third vision, I saw hope breaking through. People refusing to be separated by fear, doctors and nurses working tirelessly, communities finding ways to care for each other while staying safe. And most beautifully, I saw people praying together, not in churches, but in homes, in hospitals, in parks, like a wave of prayer spreading across the world. In each of these events, remember what you're seeing, Jesus said, turning to face me directly. It's not the disaster that defines the time, it's how hearts respond. Some will turn away from me in anger, blaming me for suffering. Others will turn toward me and find I've been waiting with open arms. He placed his hands on my shoulders and his eyes looked straight into mine. I felt like he could see every corner of my soul. Brooke, I'm not showing you these things to frighten you or others. Fear is not from me. I'm showing you so you can tell others there is hope and preparation, not just of supplies and plans, but preparation of hearts. I nodded, though my heart felt heavy with what I'd seen. There's something else you need to understand, he continued. These events aren't my punishment. They're the consequences of choices humanity has made, walking away from care for my creation and for each other. Even so, I will use these times to draw people back to what matters: love, community, compassion, and faith. He took my hand again and led me to what looked like a massive wall of light. Within it, I could see millions of golden threads all connected to each other, pulsing with light. Each thread is a prayer, he explained. Watch what happens when just one person prays. He touched one of the threads, and it lit up brightly. The light traveled along its connections, illuminating hundreds, then thousands of other threads. The effect spread like ripples in water. This was your prayer last month when you prayed for your friend Zoe, who was struggling with depression, he said. I gasped. But nothing happened. She's still struggling. Jesus smiled gently. Nothing you could see changed, but look. He showed me how my prayer had strengthened Zoe in ways I couldn't see, given her just enough hope to make it through her darkest day. And the prayer had done more. It had touched her mother's heart to check on her at just the right moment, had inspired her counselor with the right words to say, had even reached me in ways I didn't recognize, giving me patience to sit with her when she needed someone. A single sincere prayer creates ripples across dimensions you cannot see, Jesus said. In the times coming, prayer will not just be important, it will be essential. We stood there in silence for a moment. I felt like I could stay in his presence forever. The peace was so complete, so perfect. Nothing in my life had ever felt so right. Can I stay with you? I asked, my voice small. I don't want to go back. His eyes filled with such tenderness it made my heart ache. My sweet child, he said, I understand. This is home, your true home. And one day you will return here. But you have a purpose that isn't finished yet." "What purpose?" I asked. "To be a light," he said simply. "To share what you've seen. To help others prepare their hearts, not in fear, but in hope. Many will face these times afraid and alone if voices like yours don't speak of what's beyond the suffering." I started crying again. The thought of leaving this perfect peace, this complete love, felt unbearable. "I won't leave you," he promised, wiping a tear from my cheek. "Even when you can't see me like this, I am with you always, and now that you've been here, a part of you will always remember the way home." He hugged me then. It felt like being wrapped in pure love, like every good hug I'd ever had from my mom, my dad, my grandparents, all combined but 1,000 times stronger. I felt his love pour into every broken place inside me. "It's time," he whispered. "I'm scared," I admitted. "I know," he said, "but courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it, and you won't be alone." There was a rushing sensation, like being pulled backward extremely fast. Light streaked past me, and then suddenly, pain. So much pain in my chest. I heard voices, urgent and professional. Someone saying, "We've got a pulse," the inside of an ambulance, oxygen mask on my face, the wail of sirens. I tried to speak, to tell them what I'd seen, but I couldn't form words. Everything hurt. My chest felt like it had been crushed. I blinked up at the paramedic leaning over me. "You're going to be okay, sweetheart," she said. "You're back with us now." Back, but forever changed. I spent 3 days in the hospital. The doctors said I'd had a sudden cardiac arrest from an undiagnosed heart condition. They called it a miracle that Maddie knew CPR from her lifeguard training. They said I was clinically dead for almost 4 minutes. 4 minutes here, but what felt like hours there. The cardiologist stood at the foot of my hospital bed, shaking his head as he looked at my chart. "In 23 years of practice, I've never seen someone your age recover so quickly from an arrest like this," he said. "Especially with no brain damage after that long without oxygen. You're quite the medical mystery, Brooke." My mom barely left my side, sleeping in the uncomfortable hospital chair. When she stepped out to get coffee, I told my dad what had happened. The real story, not just the medical explanation. I was afraid he wouldn't believe me. Dad's always been the practical one, the skeptic. He was quiet for a long time after I finished talking. Then he took my hand. "When I was in college," he said slowly, "my roommate and I were in a terrible car accident. I never told you this because, well, it sounds crazy, but I had an experience. Not exactly like yours, but I saw something beyond this life. I've never forgotten it." Tears filled his eyes. "I've spent 20 years trying to make sense of it, trying to fit back into normal life. And here you are, having seen it too." That's when I realized these experiences aren't as rare as we think. People just don't talk about them much. They're afraid of sounding crazy or being judged. When I got home from the hospital, everything looked different to me. Colors seemed brighter, the sky more beautiful. Even the annoying things like my brother's loud video games or homework didn't bother me as much. I found myself noticing people more, really seeing them. The cashier at the grocery store with tired eyes, the kid sitting alone at lunch, the elderly neighbor struggling with her trash cans. I started having dreams too, not normal dreams. In them, Jesus would continue showing me things, explaining more about what's coming. Not all of it makes sense yet. Some things I think I'll understand when the time is right. I told Maddie everything. She cried and said she'd been praying the whole time she was doing CPR, begging God not to take me. I wonder now if her prayers were some of those golden threads I saw. At school, rumors spread about my near-death experience. Some kids asked questions, others avoided me like I was weird now. A few made jokes, but I didn't care anymore what people thought about me. When you've been held in perfect love, the opinions of others just don't matter as much. My mom found me a cardiologist. I have a device implanted now that will shock my heart if it stops again. The doctors say I can live a normal life with some precautions, but normal isn't really possible anymore, not after what I've seen. I started a small group that meets in our basement. Just a few people at first, Maddie, 2 girls from school, my neighbor Mrs. Chen, who lost her husband last year. We talk about what matters in life, about preparing our hearts, not just our emergency kits. about finding God in the everyday. It's grown to about 15 people now. We pray together for the world, for each other. I don't share everything I saw with everyone. Some people aren't ready to hear it. And that's okay. Jesus didn't show me these things to scare people or to make me seem special. He showed me so I could help others find hope and purpose, even in difficult times. If you're watching this and feeling afraid about the future, please don't be. That's not why I'm sharing my story. What I learned in those moments beyond this life is that love is stronger than any disaster, any hardship, any fear. The events I saw coming aren't the end of the story. They're part of a bigger picture we can't fully see from here. What matters isn't stockpiling supplies, though being prepared is wise. What matters is stockpiling love, strengthening your connections with others, finding your faith. Because when the waters rise, when the lights go out, when fear threatens to divide us, love is what will save us. Not just human love, but the divine love that I felt holding me, that holds all of us whether we realize it or not. My name is Brookie Lane Westfield. I'm 15 years old, and dying taught me how to truly live.